Alright guys, so we got the gooseneck we're going to work on today. Still got a little finish welded on the bed, but before the bed gets astronomically hot, we're going to try and get this gooseneck in. So we got this all reinforced with these 2-inch, and once we slide it up on the C-channel, then we're going to take these and that'll weld it to the C-channel, give me a little bit more surface weld than just running a bead in the crack down there. I would bolt it on, but in this application it's going to be better. These old winch beds didn't have any hatches for goosenecks, and most of the time rigged up with the pulley block, but you can pull the pulley block and drop it off and have the gooseneck. So we got to make a hatch here, and that's going to come around to basically, we're going to slide the gooseneck hitch right in between here and cut us a hatch. So let's see if we can do that before it gets to a temp where it can fry an egg on this bed. Alright guys, I hope y'all can make that out. So I'm not sure where I left off on the last video. I think I was getting ready to chalk this out, or maybe we had chalked this out. So there's our hatch marked out that we're going to put the gooseneck in, and we've test fitted the gooseneck to make sure that it'll slide up under, so we're not doing all this for naught. And now it's time to cut that out before this bed turns into a skillet. So let's get to it. Alright guys, we got this hatch cut. We're gonna have to trim it this way to facilitate this hinge. Now, what I'm trying to do is get as flat a surface as I can on the bed when the hatch is closed, so we can use it as a flat bed, and just, you know, whatever works for when the hatch is open, because if you got a gooseneck in there, you're not using it. as a flatbed. So as you can see, we got a high side and we got a flat side. So if we put it flat side, now this is off a little bit because I would normally have, you know, another piece of metal here. So this would be pretty much flat except for the thickness of the metal, which, you know, you can make a pallet slide over that. But the problem with that is that when you open the hatch, and I'm not going to move the hatch, but let's assume this is welded to the hatch. Now you got the hatch sticking up in midair. So the way that I facilitate getting that hatch back down on the deck, let me get a little better view there, is to do a double hinge. So I cut these. This is a big piano hinge that I cut, and let me get some needle nose vice grips, and that's how it's going to look welded together. And I'll show you how we're going to do that, but let me do a clamp so I can show you how it folds. Hang on. We got our vice grips. So now we are simulating that this is made in one hinge. Now when you fold it over, it'll fold all the way over and the door will lay flat, you know, flat-ish. But when you have it over like that, then this will be flat. So what I usually do is I'll take one of these hinges and drill maybe 3 holes, possibly here too for plug welds, but you could weld it around the outside edge on both. Really the only place you need to drill 3 or 4 holes is down the center, and that way you can come in and plug weld these two together to do the same thing these vice grips are doing and make this one double hinge instead of 2. So however you want to handle it, like I said, I may weld around this, I may just go ahead and plug weld it. Might be easy. I'll have to go look at the deck up there again too. I got some diamond plate near that. It might be better one way or the other. Anyway, all right, so that's what we're going to do with this double hinge. I just took that long hinge, put it in the bandsaw, cut it 20 1/4, which is the width of this. Now what I'm going to have to do, let me flip this hinge over. Is this edge of this barrel is going to sit up against the flat edge on the cab side of the bed, and the hatch is going to sit here. So whatever this width is, we gotta cut that off of here, and because this center part of the hinge will make this width. So this is, call it 2.5 inches. I hadn't put a measurement on it, so we'll knock off 2.5 inches from the front, and when we weld it all on, this will be our 2.5 inches that's missing. Everything will work out good, and you got good access, and your hatch will be laying pretty much flat where it won't be a trip hazard. The wind won't be catching it. And this is a little heavier piano hinge than the last one I did, but it just goes with the weight of the bed. This is probably double the thickness of that other bed, so I beefed it up a little bit. Sue me, I'll overbuild everything. All right, let's get to figuring what we're going to do with this hinge. All right, we figured out some marks to do those holes. We're going to ping them. All right, move that into the drill press. wrench situation. So got this all trued up, got our holes drilled. I went a little big with this one, I didn't like it. There's no reason to have that, so I went a little smaller. Plus this bit wasn't in a good mood, it wasn't drilling good. So what we want to have, or what I like to have anyway, is we're going to have this. Let me back the camera up a little bit, make sure we got everything. Yeah. So I want a finished look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the holes underneath like that. So that'll be our top side view of this. This will be welded to the hatch. This will be welded to the bed. These two will be welded from the bottom side. So we're going to just flip this over. And that's what we got. So I'm going to get some clamps. We're going to clamp this rascal. Make sure. I don't know what the hell happened with the GoPro. She started beeping like a smoke detector, but that's the way technology goes. Okay, so we're going to true this up, and we're going to take our clamp, and we're going to clamp his ass. One there. All right, let's try that. I got a GoPro giving me all kind of fits this morning. All right. So we got this thing clamped. We want to make sure that she's fitting right. So we're going to make sure our 3-inch measurement is still accurate. Looks like it. Everything's fitting tight. Alright. Cool deal. Let me get a block of wood to set that on, and we're gonna burn him in. Alright, so we're just going to simply fill the plug wells. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, basically what you're going to do is take your wire, and I'll come in at a hard angle and catch this side like a crescent shape, and then this side as a crescent shape, and then fill it in a little bit. And then you got a good button that you can smooth down, but like I said, this is never going to be closed to the point where the button is in the way. So if you don't want to smooth it down too much, you don't have to. But we're going to get the MIG, and we're going to tack this in place, and we'll pull the clamps and finish welding them up. got here, we took some 1-inch flat bar and drilled some holes off center, and these are actually going to be the lip that this hatch is going to sit on, and we drilled these holes to plug weld them like we did here. So we got a 20-incher here and 2 12s, and that'll give the hatch something to sit on. I think we got enough rigidity with the hinge. So we'll polish these up with the grinder and we'll get ready to put them on the truck. Alright guys, so this underneath is what our lips are doing here. So instead of just having tacks on the backside, I figure we do the plug welds. That'll give us some strength right underneath and not make these want to bend out and all that. So we got these clamped in, and I'll show you a top side view. Something like that. Alright, so we're gonna buzz those in and get a test fit. Alright, we got the muscle over here buzzing those little overlap plates in. So we're gonna get this all zooped in. We already test fit it, make sure everything's not gonna cause us any problems. Alright, we'll get back to y'all when we get done with this. Well, we got T over there grinding and getting the last of the hinge done. And I had a factory 7-pin plug holder with the angle iron right here. So what we're gonna do, once we get this mocked up in the truck, we're gonna put this here or wherever, I'm not sure, and maybe up and down, to have a 7-pin. I don't like personally coming all the way to the back with the gooseneck plug, so I'm gonna get a splitter, plugs into the forward harness at the back of the frame, and we'll have a 7-pin at the back and a 7-pin underneath the hatch for the gooseneck, and that way it just avoids having the corners of the bed possibly catch the gooseneck wire. I've had that happen once or twice. It's not very often, but when it happens, it's a pain in the butt, so just soon get it done and have 2 locations. All right, that is our hatch. All right, Muscle, how about you show us how this hatch works? He's a little quiet, mild case of heat stroke.
Okay. We got a double piano hinge to where it'll lay flat. You got any materials on the bed, so it's kind of shooting up. And then when you flip it, it'll double hinge and it lays flat back this way. Otherwise, it would prop up almost 90.
Cool deal.
We have our supports around the door frame. Support this door when it's closed, and we have some for the edges of the hinge. But pretty solid there.
All right, then we got it.
That's right.
What we got here is I took a little piece of plate and I traced out a 7-pin factory bracket, and they're, you know, really thin metal. And so I got one board here, and just using a hole saw to board here, and that way I can have some spares on hand. They could just be welded to something and ready to go instead of having to hunt up one, because we always end up having extra harnesses and extra 7-pins around the boneyard, but a lot of times the sheet metal's messed up. So we're gonna hole saw this out. Again, just a whole lot of soapy water and taking your time with the hole saw. So let's get that done. Alright guys, well, our hitch is tacked in place right there. Gooseneck hitch. And what else did we get done today? We got our hatch done. That's all fabbed up, as good as that's gonna get. And then, trying not to give y'all a headache, but we'll do a little walk around. We put some kickers right here for the smokestacks. Let me back up a little bit. Let me zoom out. Alright, well, it's not gonna let me zoom out in focus. Alright, so that smokestack, we just put them on the bottom to kind of keep things from wanting to shake. And we have to weld our plate in right there. And I'll show you one other thing, and I'm not going to sit here and film all this mundane welding, but we got to finish welding in that rusty box around that receiver hitch. And this is our bullnose plate, I'm calling it, just to go on the back of everything to give it something to pull against. And I think that's pretty much it, with the exception of a few other little things. One of the 7-pin plugs plates that I made is going to go down here. The other one is going to be welded up under there, under the hatch, so that we got we'll have 7 pins in both locations. And that's about all we're going to do to this thing. Little finish welding on the I doubt I'm going to show it on the next video. After that, it's going to be pressure washing, paint, and then we put some lights on this thing and she's ready to get back on the truck. PTO is another matter. That's going to be a while. I got one ordered. It's 8 weeks out or so. So if that doesn't change, we'll just visit that when we get to it. But that's just going to be bolt the PTO on the truck, make a drive shaft. So anyhow, that's pretty much it for the winch bed. And y'all get any cool suggestions or anything that we could do or use this for, hit me up. And if not, hell, you can always hit me up and show me what you're working on. But other than that, we'll see y'all in the comment section, or we'll see y'all on the next one.